Somewhere in the universe right now, a star could be dying, exploding, collapsing, disappearing forever. And yet, tonight, you might still see it shining peacefully in the sky, unchanged, calm, eternal, because what you are seeing isn't happening now. It already happened, long ago, and that quiet, unsettling truth begins with something that sounds almost harmless, something you've heard your entire life, light years. At first, it feels like just another scientific term, a bigger unit, a way to measure distance in space. Nothing more. But the moment you truly understand what a light year means, something shifts. Not just your understanding of space, but your understanding of reality itself. Because a light year doesn't just measure how far things are. It quietly reveals something much stranger. That everything you see is delayed. That the universe you're looking at is already in the past. And that right now, in this very moment, you are surrounded by echoes of things that may no longer exist. Here on Valoran's Sleepy Space Mysteries, we've explored ideas like what happens near black holes, where time itself stretches and bends in ways that feel almost unreal. But light years introduce a different kind of distortion, quieter one that doesn't warp time dramatically, but gently shifts everything out of sync. And once you notice it, you can't unsee it, because every star in the night sky becomes a message, a signal sent across unimaginable distance, a story that began long before you looked up, and only now arrives. Think about that for a moment. When you look at something far away, you're not seeing it as it is. You're seeing it as it was. And the farther away it is, the further back in time you're looking. A few seconds, a few minutes, years, centuries, even thousands of years. The universe isn't just spread out in space. It's layered in time. And light years are the key that reveals this hidden structure. But here's where it becomes even more unsettling. If everything you see is in the past, then what does now actually mean? Is there even a single shared present moment across the universe? Or is now just something that exists only for you, right here, on this small, quiet planet, floating in the dark? Tonight, we're going to take a slow journey through this idea, step by step, from distances you understand to distances that quietly break the limits of imagination. And along the way, you may begin to feel something unusual, not fear, not confusion, but a kind of quiet awe, the realization that reality is not quite what it seems, that time and distance are not separate things, but deeply connected in ways we rarely notice. So before we drift further into this cosmic mystery, take a moment to settle in. Maybe dim the lights, maybe get comfortable. And if you enjoy exploring these quiet, mind-bending ideas, consider subscribing to Valoran Sleepy Space Mysteries, liking the video, and turning on the bell so you don't miss future journeys like this. You can also support the channel through membership and become part of this growing community of curious minds. And as always, I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from tonight, because while we may be separated by distance here on Earth, We're all about to travel much, much farther. Together, let's begin gently with something familiar. Distance. Not the kind that stretches across the universe, but the kind you feel in everyday life. The distance from your home to a nearby store. The distance between cities. The quiet sense of space between where you are and somewhere else. These are distances you understand instinctively. You can imagine the journey. You can feel how long it takes. You can picture what lies in between. But now, imagine removing everything in between. No roads, no landmarks, no sense of movement, just empty space. And suddenly, distance begins to lose its meaning. Because in space, distance is not experienced. It is only measured. And even that becomes difficult very quickly. If I told you something is 1 kilometer away, you could imagine walking there. If I told you it was 1,000 kilometers away, you might imagine a long drive or a flight. Even tens of thousands of kilometers, the size of our planet, still fits somewhere inside your imagination. But then, something changes. When we step beyond Earth, the numbers stop behaving the way we expect. The Moon, for example, is about 384,000 kilometers away. That already feels distant, but still somewhat understandable. Humans have traveled there. Takes a few days. Feels like a journey, not an abstraction. But then we move to the sun. Suddenly, the distance becomes about 150 million kilometers. And something subtle happens inside your mind. You no longer picture the journey. You simply accept the number, because it's too large to truly imagine. And this is where the shift begins. Because the problem is not just that space is big. The problem is that our way of measuring it begins to fail. Numbers grow larger and larger, but our understanding does not grow with them. The connection between the number and reality starts to fade. It becomes symbolic rather than meaningful. And this is exactly why the concept of light years exists. Not to complicate things, but to restore meaning. Because instead of asking, "How far is it?" astronomers began asking a different question. How long does it take for light to get there? This is a quiet but profound shift. Because light is not just fast. It is the fastest thing that exists. Nothing in the universe can move faster than light. Not a spacecraft, not a signal, not even information itself. And that means something very important. Whenever you see anything, you are seeing it through light. And that light had to travel. It didn't arrive instantly, cross space. And that took time. In your everyday life, this delay is so small that you never notice it. When you turn on a light in your room, the light reaches your eyes almost instantly. The distance is so short that the travel time feels like zero. But it isn't zero. It's just too small to matter. But as distances grow, that delay grows too. And slowly, something incredible begins to happen. Distance transforms into time. When you look at the moon, you are seeing it as it was about 1 second ago. A tiny delay, almost unnoticeable, but real. When you look at the sun, you are seeing it as it was about 8 minutes ago. The light you see left the sun 8 minutes in the past. Which means If something changed on the sun right now, you wouldn't know yet. For 8 full minutes, you would still see the old version, the past, lingering in the present. And this is where the idea begins to deepen, because this delay is not unique to the sun. It applies to everything, every planet, every star, every galaxy. The farther away something is, the older the image you see. And now, something subtle but powerful begins to emerge. The night sky is not a snapshot of the present. It is a layered archive of time. Each point of light carries its own delay, its own history, its own distance measured not just in space, but in time traveled. Some of the stars you see tonight are a few years in the past, others decades, others centuries, and some far more. So when you look up, you are not seeing a single moment. You are seeing many moments, all at once. A quiet collage of different times, arriving together in your eyes. And this leads us back to the question we introduced earlier. If every object you see is from a different moment in the past, then where is the present? Where does now actually exist? Is it something shared across the universe? Or something deeply local, only here, only for you? We're going to keep moving outward, slowly, carefully, allowing this idea to expand. Because what begins as a simple measurement is about to become something much more unsettling. Something that changes not just how far things are, but when they are. Now, let's slow this down even further and gently expand that idea. Because once you accept that light takes time to travel, something even more unusual begins to reveal itself. You are never seeing anything instantly. Not the moon, not the sun, not even the person sitting across from you. The delay is tiny here on Earth, so small that it feels like zero. But technically, even the face of someone right in front of you is already in the past by a fraction of a second. It's just too small for your mind to notice. But in space, that tiny delay stretches and stretches until it becomes impossible to ignore. Let's take a step outward again. Imagine a signal leaving Earth, traveling at the speed of light, heading toward Mars. Even at its closest, Mars is so far away that the signal takes several minutes to arrive. Not seconds, minutes. And that means something very important. If you tried to control a machine on Mars in real time, you couldn't. You would always be late. You send a command, and then you wait. Minutes pass. Only then does your command arrive. And if something goes wrong, the response comes back minutes later again. Everything becomes delayed. Every action, every reaction separated by time. Now imagine that delay growing even larger. Imagine sending a message not to Mars, but to something far beyond our solar system. Years pass before it arrives. Years more before a reply returns. And suddenly communication itself begins to feel disconnected from the present. This is the hidden reality of light years. They are not just distances. They are delays built into the fabric of the universe. And those delays shape everything. Let's take one more step outward to our nearest neighboring star system, Proxima Centauri. Sounds close, doesn't it? Nearest. But in cosmic terms, Nearest still means about 4.24 light years away, which means the light you see from that star tonight left it more than 4 years ago, before today, before last year, before countless small moments in your life even happened. That light began its journey long ago, traveling silently through space until it finally arrived here, right now. And here's the strange part. If something changed on Proxima Centauri today, you wouldn't see it. Not yet. You would continue seeing the old version of that star for more than 4 years. The past, still visible. The present, still hidden. And this creates a kind of quiet separation between events and our awareness of them. Things happen, but we don't see them when they happen. We see them only when their light arrives. And that delay can stretch across years, decades, or far longer. So in a very real sense, you are always looking backward, never directly at the present, only at echoes, only at signals that have already completed their journey. And now, something deeper begins to settle in. Because if this is true for stars, then it is true for everything in the universe. There is no universal now that everyone shares. No single moment that exists everywhere at once. Instead, every location in space carries its own version of time, its own present, its own unfolding reality. And what you see is always a blend of different timelines arriving together. This is why the night sky feels so strangely timeless. Because it is. When you look up, you are seeing ancient light mixed with more recent light, all layered into a single view. Some stars are showing you what they were like a few years ago. Others, what they were like hundreds of years ago. And you cannot separate them. They arrive together, quietly, seamlessly, as if they belong to the same moment. But they don't. They never did. And this is where the concept of light years begins to transform from a measurement into something more philosophical. Because it forces you to ask, what does it mean to see something? If seeing always involves delay, then are you ever truly observing reality as it is? Or are you always observing history? A carefully preserved stream of past moments, delivered to you through light. And this idea becomes even more powerful when we go further. Because the deeper we look into space, the further back in time we go. Telescopes are not just tools for seeing far distances. They are tools for seeing earlier moments in the universe. When astronomers look at galaxies millions of light years away, they are seeing those galaxies as they were millions of years ago, not as they are now. And when they look even deeper, billions of light years away, they are seeing the universe itself in its early stages, a younger universe, a different universe, one that no longer exists in that form. So in a quiet and almost poetic way, every observation of space is also an observation of time. Distance becomes history, light becomes memory, and the universe becomes something like a vast archive, where every direction you look reveals a different chapter. But this raises an even deeper question. If everything you see is delayed, then what is happening right now? Beyond your reach, what events are unfolding across the universe? at this very moment that you won't see for thousands or millions of years. We're going to explore that next, because as we move further outward, the idea of light years will stop feeling like a measurement entirely and begin to feel like something else, a boundary, a limit, a quiet barrier between you and the true present of the universe. Now, let's move even farther out, slowly, because this is where the idea begins to feel less like science and more like something quietly unsettling. You've already seen how light carries delay, how every object in space is revealed to you only after its light has completed a journey. But what happens when that journey becomes incredibly long? Not minutes, not years, but centuries, or even thousands of years. Imagine looking at a star that is 500 light years away. The light entering your eyes tonight began its journey before modern civilization existed as you know it. Before electricity, before engines, before most of human history unfolded into the world you recognize today. That light has been traveling through darkness, uninterrupted, for 5 centuries, just to reach you now. And during that entire time, the star itself has continued to change, slowly, subtly, but constantly. So what you are seeing is not the star as it exists now. It is the star as it was when that light began its journey. A version of the star that may no longer exist in the same form. And this is where the idea begins to deepen in a way that's difficult to ignore. Because the further away something is, the more outdated your view becomes. Distance is no longer just space. It becomes a delay so large that it separates you from reality itself. You are no longer just looking far away. You are looking into history. And this is not rare. It is the default state of the universe. Every distant object you see is a memory, a preserved image carried by light across unimaginable distances. Now imagine extending this idea even further. There are stars thousands of light years away. When you look at them, you are seeing light that left before entire civilizations rose and fell on Earth, before languages evolved, before borders existed, before recorded history began. That light has been traveling longer than human civilization has existed. And yet, tonight, it arrives quietly, blending in with all the other stars, as if it belongs to the same moment. But it doesn't. It belongs to a completely different time. And now, something even more profound begins to emerge. Because if the delay becomes large enough, it introduces a possibility that feels almost unreal. Some of the stars you see may no longer exist. They may have already changed dramatically or even disappeared entirely, but their light still hasn't finished its journey. So you continue to see them shining calmly long after their reality has changed. You are looking at a kind of cosmic afterimage. Not because the universe is deceiving you, but because light simply takes time, and nothing can make it arrive faster. This is where the concept of light years quietly transforms into something much deeper than measurement. It becomes a limit on awareness, a delay that cannot be removed, a barrier that ensures you will always be slightly out of sync with everything beyond your immediate surroundings. And now, return for a moment to that earlier question. If everything you see is delayed, then what is happening right now beyond your vision? Somewhere in the universe, events are unfolding at this very moment. Stars are forming, others are collapsing, planets are shifting, entire systems are evolving. But you are not seeing any of it as it happens. You are only seeing the versions that existed when their light began traveling toward you, which means the true present of the universe is hidden from you, not because it is invisible, but because it has not had time to reach you yet. And that idea changes something subtle but important. It means that reality is not something you observe directly. It is something you receive after a delay, a constant stream of information, always arriving late. And yet, your mind stitches it all together, creating the illusion of a single shared moment. A sky full of stars that seem to exist together. Now, but beneath that illusion, each one belongs to a different time, a different chapter in the story of the universe. And you are standing at the point where all those chapters arrive together, quietly, seamlessly, almost perfectly aligned, but never truly synchronized. This is the hidden structure of reality that light years reveal. Not just distance, but delay. Not just space, but time layered across space. And we're still only beginning to explore it. Because as we continue outward, something even more extraordinary begins to appear. The deeper you look into space, the closer you get to the beginning of everything. The early universe itself, still visible, still sending light, still reaching us across billions of years. Which means, when you look far enough, you are no longer just seeing stars. You are seeing the past of the universe itself. And that is where this journey is heading next. Because light years don't just show you distant objects. They slowly guide you backward, toward the origin of everything you know. Now, let's continue drifting outward, because what we're approaching is something far more profound than distant stars or delayed signals. Up until now, we've been talking about light years as a way to understand distance and delay. How the farther something is, the older the light becomes. But there is a quiet turning point here, a moment where this idea stops being about individual stars and begins to reveal something much larger. Because eventually, if you keep looking farther and farther, you are no longer just looking across space. You are looking back toward the beginning of the universe itself. Imagine this slowly. Every direction you look into the night sky is not just a direction in space. It is a direction into the past. Nearby stars show you recent moments. Distant stars show you older ones. Galaxies, even older still. And if you look far enough, you begin to see light that has been traveling for billions of years. Light that began its journey when the universe itself was very young. Before planets like Earth existed. Before stars like our sun had even formed. Before anything familiar had taken shape. This is not imagination. This is observation. When astronomers point powerful telescopes deep into space, they are not just seeing distant galaxies. They are seeing ancient galaxies. Galaxies as they were billions of years ago, in the early stages of cosmic history. And this changes everything, because it means the universe is not just something that exists out there in a single moment. It is something that reveals its history depending on how far you look. Closed distances show you the present, or something close to it, but extreme distances show you the past in extraordinary detail. It's as if the universe has left behind a trail of light, a record of its own evolution, stretching outward in every direction. And we quietly are standing at the center of that record, receiving it. Not because we are special, but because we happen to be here, at this point in space, where all that ancient light is arriving. Now pause for a moment and consider what that really means. When you look at the most distant objects ever observed, you are not seeing them as they are. You are seeing them as they were near the beginning of time itself. You are looking back across billions of years simply by looking outward. Distance becomes time in its most extreme form, and here, the idea of light years becomes something almost poetic, because it is no longer just a measurement of space. It is a measurement of how far back in time you are seeing. A galaxy that is 1 billion light years away is not just distant. It is 1 billion years in the past. A galaxy 10 billion light years away shows you a universe 10 billion years younger. And this leads to a quiet realization that often goes unnoticed. The universe you see is not a single version of reality. It is many versions layered together. Different ages, different stages, all visible at once, depending on where you look. In one direction, you might see a galaxy that has already matured, filled with structured stars and stable systems. In another, you might see a galaxy still forming, chaotic, evolving, not yet settled into what it will become. And both are real, both exist, but they belong to different times, and you are seeing them together as if they belong to the same moment. This is the illusion that light years quietly create. A seamless sky that hides a deeply fragmented timeline. And now, something even more subtle begins to emerge. Because if the universe reveals its past through distance, then there must be a limit. A point beyond which light has not yet had enough time to reach us. A boundary, not of space, but of visibility. There are regions of the universe so far away that their light is still traveling, still on its way, not yet arrived. And beyond that lies something we cannot see at all. Not because it isn't there, but because its light simply hasn't reached us yet. This is sometimes called the observable universe, the portion of reality that we can see, limited not by technology, but by time itself. And this introduces a quiet but powerful idea. There is more out there, much more, beyond what we can observe. Entire regions of space, entire histories, completely hidden from us, simply because there hasn't been enough time for their light to arrive. So even at the largest scale, we are still living inside a kind of delay, a cosmic horizon shaped by light years. And this brings us back, gently, to the core idea that has been unfolding since the beginning of this journey. Light years are not just about distance. They define what we can know and what remains forever out of reach. They shape not only how far things are, but how much of reality is visible to us at all. And as we move forward, there is one final piece we need to explore. Because light years don't just affect what we see. They define what is possible. They set a limit not only on observation, but on movement, on communication, and on connection itself. And that limit is something no technology, no civilization can ever escape. Now, we arrive at something even quieter, but far more absolute. Up until this point, light years have revealed how distance becomes time, how everything you see is delayed, how the universe itself unfolds as a layered history rather than a single shared moment. But there is one final realization hidden inside all of this, something that doesn't just affect what you see, but what is possible at all. Because light doesn't just carry information. It defines a limit, the ultimate limit. Nothing in the universe can move faster than light. Not matter, not energy, not even information itself. And that means something deeply important. Every delay you've been imagining, every gap between when something happens and when you see it, cannot be shortened beyond a certain point. It is not a technological limitation. It is not something that can be solved with better engines or more advanced civilizations. It is woven into the structure of reality itself. If something is 4 light years away, then the fastest possible journey between you and that place will always take at least 4 years. Not 3, not 1, not instant, at least 4. And this transforms light years from a measurement into a boundary, a quiet barrier that separates everything in the universe into isolated regions of time and space. Imagine trying to send a message to a distant star system, one that is 10 light years away. Even if your message travels at the fastest speed possible, it will take 10 years to arrive. And if a reply is sent immediately, another 10 years to return. 20 years for a single exchange. A question asked and answered decades later. Now imagine trying to build a conversation, a relationship, a shared experience. It becomes impossible in the way we understand it. Every interaction is stretched across time, fragmented, disconnected from the moment it was intended for. And as distances increase, this separation becomes even more extreme. At 100 light years, a single exchange takes 2 centuries. At 1,000 light years, 2,000 years. Entire civilizations could rise and fall between messages. Cultures could evolve beyond recognition. Languages could change. Meanings could be lost. And yet, the messages would still be traveling, carrying voices from a past that no longer exists. Light years don't just separate objects in space. They separate experiences in time. And this has a profound implication that often goes unnoticed. The universe is not just vast. It is deeply disconnected, not because things are unreachable in principle, but because they are unreachable within any meaningful time frame. Even if travel were possible, even if you could approach the speed of light, something else begins to happen. Time itself starts to behave differently. From your perspective, the journey might feel shorter, but from the outside, years would still pass. Decades, centuries, the universe continues forward while you move through it. And when you arrive, you would not arrive in the same moment you left behind. You would arrive in a future that has moved on without you. This is the final layer of what light years reveal. Not just distance, not just delay, but separation. A quiet, unavoidable separation between every point in the universe. Each star system, each galaxy, existing in its own timeline, connected only by light that takes time to travel. And yet, despite this separation, something remarkable still happens. That light still arrives, slowly, patiently, crossing unimaginable distances, carrying information, carrying history, connecting distant parts of the universe in the only way possible. Not instantly, not directly, but gradually. And that is why when you look up at the night sky, you are not just seeing distant objects. You are witnessing connections, signals that have traveled for years, centuries, sometimes far longer, just to reach you. Each point of light is a bridge between where it began and where you are now, a quiet link across space and time. And maybe that's what makes it feel so calm, because even though the universe is vast, even though it is fragmented by distance and delay, it is still connected, not by proximity, but by light, by these slow, steady journeys that never stop. And now, as we prepare to move into the next part of this journey, there is one thought to carry with you. Every time you look into space, you are not just observing distance. You are participating in a process that spans time itself, receiving signals from the past, standing at the edge of the present, and quietly facing a future that has not yet revealed itself. And all of it is measured in light years. If you're still here, gently listening, let me know by typing 1 in the comments, so I know you're still drifting through this quiet universe with me. Now, let's continue, but this time with a slightly different perspective. Up until now, we've been slowly building the idea that distance creates delay, that everything you see in the universe is slightly behind the present. But here, in this next step, that idea becomes more personal, because it's no longer just about abstract distances or distant galaxies. It's about the very stars you can see tonight with your own eyes, the quiet points of light scattered across the sky, the ones that feel steady, permanent, almost timeless. But they aren't, not in the way they appear. Take a moment and imagine looking up at one bright star. It seems immediate, present, as if what you're seeing is happening right now. But even the nearest visible stars are already years in the past. Some of them, decades. That means the light reaching your eyes tonight began its journey long before this moment, long before whatever you are doing right now even began. And during that time, the star itself has continued to change. Slowly, yes, stars evolve over long periods, but they are not frozen in time. They are active, dynamic, constantly shifting in ways we cannot directly witness in real time. So what you see is always a memory, a delayed version of reality, quietly presented as if it were current. And now, let's take a specific example, not as a technical detail, but as a way to feel this more clearly. There is a star often visible in the night sky, bright, steady, easy to recognize. The light from that star may have left it 8 or 10 years ago, which means when you look at it tonight, you are seeing a version of that star from nearly a decade in the past. Think about everything that has happened in your life over the past 10 years. The changes, the moments, the things that feel recent, but are already part of your past. That same span of time is the delay between you and that star. You are not seeing it now. You are seeing it then. And this becomes even more striking when we look at stars that are farther away. Some stars visible to the naked eye are hundreds of light years distant. Their light began traveling before entire chapters of human history unfolded, before technologies you use every day existed, before events that feel foundational to the modern world even occurred. And yet, their light arrives tonight, quietly blending into the sky, as if it belongs to this moment. But it doesn't. It belongs to a completely different time. And now we reach a subtle but powerful realization. The night sky feels stable, but it is not showing you the present state of the universe. It is showing you a layered collection of past states, overlapping and merging, forming a calm illusion of stillness. But beneath that calm, everything is changing. Stars are evolving. Some are growing brighter. Others are dimming. Some are nearing the end of their life cycles, preparing for events that will transform them completely. And here is where the idea becomes quietly unsettling. Because for some of these stars, the changes may have already happened. Not gradually, but suddenly. There are stars in the universe that end their lives in powerful explosions, events that outshine entire galaxies for a brief moment. These events are rare, but they do happen. And when they do, they transform the star completely. What was once a stable point of light becomes something entirely different. But if that star is far enough away, you wouldn't know yet. You would still see the old version, the calm version, the version from before the event, because the light carrying that change is still traveling. Still on its way, not yet arrived. So in a very real sense, it is possible that some of the stars you see tonight no longer exist in the way you see them. They may have already changed dramatically, but their past light continues to arrive, preserving an image of what used to be. And this is not an illusion in the usual sense. It is not a trick. It is simply how light works, carries information, but it takes time. And until that information arrives, you remain connected to the past version of that object. And now, let's return to that earlier idea, but with a deeper understanding. When you look at the night sky, you are not seeing a snapshot of the universe as it is now. You are seeing a mosaic of different times. Each star, each point of light, representing a different moment in its own history. And your mind quietly, effortlessly merges them into one scene. A sky that feels unified, but is anything but. And this is where the meaning of light years becomes something more than scientific. It becomes experiential, because it changes how you relate to what you see. The stars are no longer just distant. They are delayed. They are messages arriving late, telling you what once was, not what is. And as we move forward, this idea will expand even further. Because if stars can be seen in the past, then entire galaxies can too. And beyond that, something even more profound waits. A realization that doesn't just change how you see the night sky, but how you understand reality itself. Let's go deeper now, because what we've just uncovered about stars extends far beyond them. It doesn't stop at individual points of light. It expands quietly into something much larger, entire systems, entire galaxies, entire regions of the universe that you are seeing not as they are, but as they once were. Imagine for a moment a galaxy far away, not just a single star, but billions of stars orbiting together, forming vast spirals of light. From a distance, it looks stable, beautiful, complete. But if that galaxy is millions of light years away, then the image you see is millions of years old. The light reaching your eyes began its journey long before human civilization even existed. Before cities, before language as you know it, before anything familiar shaped the world around you. And yet, that ancient light arrives now, blending into your present, as if it belongs here. But it doesn't. It belongs to a completely different era of the universe. And this changes something subtle but important. Because when you observe distant galaxies, you are not just observing space. You are observing history on a cosmic scale. Each galaxy becomes a snapshot of a different time period, frozen not because it stopped changing, but because its light has not yet caught up to the present. Some galaxies you see are relatively close, showing you something near the current stage of the universe. Others, far more distant, show you galaxies in earlier stages, less structured, more chaotic, still forming. And when astronomers look at these distant galaxies, they are not just studying where things are, they are studying how things were. They are reconstructing the past, simply by observing distance. And this leads to a realization that feels almost paradoxical. The deeper you look into space, the less you are seeing of the present. You are moving backward in time, step by step, layer by layer, until eventually you begin to approach the earliest visible moments of the universe itself. And here, something extraordinary happens, because there is a point far beyond the reach of naked eye observation, where the light we detect is no longer coming from stars or galaxies as we know them. It is coming from a time when the universe was still forming, still settling into its structure, still emerging from its earliest state. This faint glow, this ancient signal, has been traveling for billions of years and only now reaches us. It is not just distant. It is ancient beyond anything we can truly relate to. And yet, it is visible, not as something dramatic, but as a quiet background, a subtle presence that fills the universe, a reminder that what we see is always shaped by time. Now, pause again and let this settle in. Every direction you look is not just outward, but backward. The sky is not a surface, it is depth. Layers of time stacked across unimaginable distances. And you are not simply observing it, you are receiving it. Light that has been traveling longer than human history, longer than civilization, longer than even the planet you stand on has existed in its current form. And still, it arrives. This is where the idea becomes almost poetic again, because the universe is not silent. It is constantly sending signals, not deliberately, not with intention, but through the simple act of existing, emitting light, allowing that light to travel. And those signals, no matter how far, continue moving, crossing empty space, untouched, until they encounter something or someone who can receive them. And right now, that receiver is you. You are standing in a place where ancient light arrives, where events from distant times become visible again, where the past quietly becomes part of your present experience. And yet, there is something else hidden within this idea. Because while you are receiving these signals, you are also sending them. Every light that leaves Earth, every signal, every reflection of sunlight begins its own journey outward, traveling at the same speed, carrying information about this moment into the future of the universe. Somewhere far away, long from now, that light may arrive. And whatever is there, whatever exists at that point, will see Earth not as it is then, but as it was when that light began its journey. Just as you are seeing distant stars from their past, something else, someday, may see you from yours. And this creates a quiet symmetry, a balance. The universe is not just something you observe. It is something you are part of. A continuous exchange of light, of information, moving in all directions, across time. And now, as this idea settles, we return once more to the central truth that has been slowly unfolding. The universe you see is not the universe as it exists now. It is a vast collection of past moments, arriving together, forming an illusion of the present. And yet, within that illusion, there is something deeply real. Because even though you are seeing the past, you are still connected to it, still receiving it, still part of this ongoing flow. And as we move further, one final question begins to emerge, quietly, almost inevitably. If everything you see is the past, then what would it take to see something as it truly is right now? And is that even possible at all? Now, let's stay with that question and let it unfold slowly. If everything you see is the past, then what would it actually mean to see something as it truly is right now? First, it feels like a simple idea. Of course, you're seeing things as they are. That's how perception works. You look and you see. But what we've been uncovering suggests something very different. That seeing is never immediate. That even the smallest distance introduces delay. And that delay, no matter how small, separates you from the present. Even here, on Earth, the world around you is not perfectly synchronized with your awareness. The light from objects travels to your eyes. Signals travel to your brain. Processing takes time. Everything you experience is already slightly behind what has just happened. It's just so small, so incredibly brief, that it feels like now. But it isn't exactly now. It's a fraction of a moment ago. And as distance increases, that fraction grows. From tiny delays to seconds to minutes to years to spans so large they no longer feel connected to your life at all. So the idea of a shared present, a single universal now, begins to dissolve. Because for something to be truly now, it would have to be experienced simultaneously without delay everywhere. And that simply isn't possible. Not in a universe where information takes time to travel. Instead, every location has its own present, its own unfolding moment, shaped by what has had time to arrive, and what hasn't. This is one of the quiet truths that light years reveal. The universe is not synchronized. It is staggered, distributed across time, with each region existing in its own version of the present. And what you see is only what has reached you so far. Now imagine two distant observers, one on Earth and one orbiting a distant star many light years away. Each looks up into space. Each sees stars, galaxies, distant points of light. But what they see is not the same universe. Not because the universe is different, but because the light reaching them comes from different moments. Events that appear recent to one observer may not have happened yet for the other. Events that are already ancient history for one may still be unfolding in the visible sky of the other. They are both correct in their own frame of reference, and yet they are not sharing the same present. This is where the concept of reality becomes something more fluid than we usually imagine. Not fixed, not universal, but dependent on perspective and distance, and the time it takes for light to travel. And now, let's bring this back to something more tangible. Imagine a distant star that is exactly 100 light years away. When you look at it tonight, you are seeing it as it was 100 years ago. But someone living on a planet near that star, looking toward Earth, would see Earth as it was 100 years ago as well. Both of you are looking at each other's past. Both of you are receiving delayed signals. Neither of you is seeing the other in the present moment. And there is no way, no method, no technology that allows either of you to bypass that delay. Because the limit is not technological. It is fundamental. And this creates a kind of quiet isolation between different regions of the universe. Not isolation in space alone, but isolation in time. Every star system, every galaxy, existing in its own timeline, connected only by signals that take time to travel. And yet, despite this separation, something remarkable still holds everything together. Because even though there is no shared present, there is still continuity. The light continues to travel. Information continues to move. Slowly, steadily, connecting different moments across vast distances. And this is where the idea becomes less unsettling and more strangely comforting. Because even though you cannot see the present of distant places, you are still connected to their past. And your present will become part of someone else's past, somewhere, someday. A continuous exchange flowing through the universe. Now, as we continue forward, we begin to approach something even more profound. Because if the present cannot be shared, and if every observation is delayed, then what we call reality is not a single state. It is a collection of overlapping histories, a mosaic of moments, each arriving at different times, each forming part of what you perceive as now. And this leads to one final layer of understanding. You are not just observing the universe. You are assembling it, piece by piece, from signals that arrive, from light that has traveled, from moments that have already passed. Your experience of reality is built from the past. And as we move into the next part, we will explore what this means on the largest possible scale. Because once you truly understand this, the universe stops feeling like a place you exist in and starts to feel like something you are continuously receiving. Now, let's take one more step, but this time, bring everything together. Up to this point, we've slowly uncovered something subtle, that the universe is not something you observe instantly, but something that arrives to you piece by piece through light. Every star, every galaxy, every distant glow in the sky is not showing you what is happening now, but what has already happened. And your mind, without realizing it, assembles all of these delayed signals into a single experience you call reality. But here is where the idea becomes even more profound. Because once you understand that everything you see is delayed, you begin to realize something deeper. You are never experiencing the universe directly. You are always experiencing a version of it, reconstructed from the past. Not just distant objects, but everything. Even your immediate surroundings are part of this process. Light reflects, travels, arrives, and only then becomes part of your awareness. So what you call seeing is actually receiving. Receiving signals that have already completed their journey. Receiving moments that are no longer happening. And yet, it feels immediate, seamless, continuous. Your brain fills in the gaps, smoothing over the delays, creating the illusion of a stable, present world. But beneath that illusion, reality is always slightly out of reach, always just ahead of what you can perceive. And this becomes even more striking when you think about scale, because the further away something is, the more reconstruction is required. A nearby object, only slightly delayed, feels real and immediate. A distant star, delayed by years, still feels real, but less connected. A distant galaxy, delayed by millions or billions of years, becomes something else entirely. Not just distant, but historical. A record, a preserved image of something that may no longer resemble what you see. And yet, your mind treats all of it the same. It places everything into a single frame, a single moment, a unified experience. But that unity is not real. It is constructed, a careful blending of signals from different times, arriving together, interpreted as one. And this leads to a realization that feels almost philosophical. The universe you experience is not the universe as it exists. It is the universe as it has been revealed to you through light over time. A curated version of reality, limited by distance, shaped by delay. And now, let's return to that earlier idea, but with a deeper sense of meaning. When you look at the night sky, you are not just looking outward. You are looking backward across a vast range of moments. Each star is a memory. Each galaxy is a chapter. Each faint glow is a fragment of a story that began long before you were here to see it. And all of it arrives together, forming something that feels present, but is actually a mosaic of the past. Now imagine removing that delay. Imagine a universe where light traveled instantly, where every event could be seen the moment it happened, no matter how far away it was. In that universe, there would be a true shared present, a single now that spans everything. But that is not the universe we live in. Our universe has a speed limit, a fundamental constraint, and because of that, everything is separated by time, not just distance, but time, and that separation cannot be removed. It defines everything. It shapes how we observe, how we communicate, how we understand our place in the cosmos. And yet, there is something quietly beautiful about it. Because even though you cannot see the present of distant places, you can still see their past. You can still receive their light. You can still connect in a way that transcends distance, even if it does not transcend time. The universe is not silent. It is constantly speaking through light, and you are constantly listening, even if what you hear is an echo. And now, as we approach the final segment of this part, there is one last idea to explore. Because if your entire experience of the universe is built from delayed signals, then your understanding of reality is not just about what exists, but about what has reached you. And beyond that lies something even more mysterious. Not what you can see, but what you can never see. Not because it isn't there, but because its light has not yet arrived, and may never arrive at all. Now, we arrive at the edge of something quiet, but deeply profound. Up until this moment, everything we've explored has been about what you can see, even if it is delayed. Stars from years ago, galaxies from millions or billions of years in the past. A universe revealed through layers of time, arriving slowly through light. But now we turn towards something different. Not what is visible, but what is forever beyond visibility. Because if light takes time to travel, then there must be a limit to how far we can see. Not a limit of technology, not something we can overcome with better telescopes, but a limit built into time itself. Imagine this carefully. The universe has existed for a finite amount of time. It had a beginning, a moment when everything started expanding outward. And since that moment, light has been traveling, moving across space, carrying information from one place to another. But here is the key idea. Light from extremely distant regions may still be on its way. It has not had enough time to reach us yet, which means There are parts of the universe that exist right now, but are completely invisible to us. Not because they are hidden, not because they are dark, but because their light has not arrived, and perhaps never will. This boundary, this invisible edge, is sometimes described as the limit of what we can observe. Not the edge of the universe itself, but the edge of what is knowable. Beyond this boundary, there may be countless galaxies, countless stars, entire structures, existing in full detail, but completely unreachable by observation. And this creates a realization that feels both humbling and strangely peaceful. Because no matter how far we look, no matter how advanced our instruments become, there will always be more beyond what we can see. Not hidden by mystery, but by time. And this brings us back, one final time, to the meaning of light years. They are not just a way of measuring distance. They define the horizon of reality. They determine what information has had time to reach us, and what remains beyond our awareness. They separate the visible from the invisible, the known from the unknowable. And within that boundary, everything you see, everything you experience, is shaped by what has arrived. Not what exists everywhere, but what has reached you here. And this gives the universe a kind of quiet structure, not centered on location, but centered on experience. You are surrounded by a sphere of visibility, defined by light that has completed its journey. And beyond that sphere, reality continues silently, without ever revealing itself to you. Now pause and let that settle in. There are events happening right now across the universe that you will never see. Not in your lifetime, not ever. Their light will never reach you. Their existence will remain forever outside your experience. And yet, they are real, just as real as the stars above you, just as real as the ground beneath your feet. They simply exist beyond your horizon of light. And this introduces one final layer to everything we've explored. The universe is not just delayed. It is partially hidden permanently, not because it is concealed, but because time has not allowed it to be revealed. And in a way, this makes your experience of the universe something very special, because what you see is a unique intersection of signals, a specific collection of light arriving at this place, at this moment, forming your personal window into the cosmos. No one else, anywhere else, sees exactly the same version of the universe that you do, because their position is different. Their light is arriving differently. Their now is not your now. And yet, all of these perspectives together form the full reality of the universe. A vast, distributed experience where no single observer sees everything, but each sees something true. And this brings us gently to the close of this part, because the idea we began with, light years as distance, has transformed into something much deeper. Light years define delay. They define separation. They define visibility. And ultimately, they define the limits of what can ever be known. And as we move into the final part of this journey, we will take everything we've discovered and bring it back to one final reflection, not just about space, but about your place within it. Because once you understand light years, you begin to see the universe differently. Not as something distant, but as something unfolding, slowly, quietly, all around you, always just slightly out of reach, and yet always arriving. If you're still here with me, drifting through these quiet ideas, gently type 2 in the comments, so I know you're still listening. Now, as we enter this final part of the journey, everything begins to slow down, not because the ideas become simpler, but because they begin to settle into something deeper, something more reflective. Up until now, we've explored how light years reshape distance, how they transform space into time, how they reveal that everything you see is delayed, layered, and quietly disconnected from a shared present. But now, we arrive at the final realization. Light years don't just describe the universe. They define its limits, because hidden inside everything we've discussed is one unbreakable truth. Light is not just fast. It is the fastest possible thing. And nothing in the universe can go beyond it. This is not a challenge waiting to be solved. It is not a boundary that technology will one day overcome. It is built into the fabric of reality itself. And that changes everything, because it means the delays we've been exploring are permanent. The separation between distant stars is permanent. The disconnection between different regions of the universe is permanent. Imagine trying to cross the distance to the nearest star, not as a thought experiment, but as something real. Even if you could travel at unimaginable speeds, even if you could approach the speed of light itself, the journey would still take years. From your perspective, perhaps less time would pass. But from the outside, the universe would continue moving forward. Time would continue unfolding. And when you arrived, you would not arrive in the same universe you left behind. You would arrive in a future that has already moved on without you. And this creates something that feels almost paradoxical. The faster you try to move through the universe, the more disconnected you become from the timeline you started in. Movement through space becomes movement through time. And this is not science fiction. It is a natural consequence of the same principle that defines light years. The same limit that prevents you from seeing the present also prevents you from reaching it instantly. Everything is bound by this speed. Everything unfolds within this constraint. And now, let's bring this back to something more human, something easier to feel. Imagine sending a message, not across a room, not across a city, but across the stars. You write something simple, a question, a greeting, a signal that carries your presence into the universe. That signal leaves Earth traveling at the speed of light. And then you wait. Years pass. Eventually, if there is something there to receive it, it arrives. And if a reply is sent, more years pass before it returns. A single exchange stretched across a decade or more. And during that time, everything changes. Lives move forward. People grow older. Circumstances shift. The moment you were responding to is no longer present. And yet, the conversation continues slowly, across time. This is what light years do to connection. They don't just make things far away. They make them temporally distant, separated not just by space, but by experience, by unfolding time that cannot be synchronized. And this leads to a quiet realization that sits at the center of everything we've explored. The universe is not just vast. It is fundamentally fragmented, not broken, not chaotic, but divided into regions that cannot share the same moment. Each part existing in its own flow of time, connected only by signals that take time to arrive. And yet, despite this fragmentation, something remarkable still holds everything together. Because even though nothing can move faster than light, light itself still moves, still connects, it still carries information across unimaginable distances, linking distant parts of the universe in the only way possible. Not instantly, not directly, but gradually, and maybe that's what gives the universe its quiet rhythm. A steady flow of signals, of light, of moments, moving outward, arriving, continuing. Not rushing, not stopping, just unfolding. And as we continue, we're going to explore one final layer of this idea. Because if light defines the limit of speed, then it also defines the limit of knowledge, the limit of connection, the limit of what can ever be shared between distant parts of the universe. And within that limit, something deeply meaningful begins to emerge. Now, let's continue, but even more slowly, because this final understanding is not something to rush. We've already seen that light sets a limit, not just on speed, but on everything that moves through the universe. Information, signals, matter, all of it is bound by this same constraint. But what we haven't fully explored yet is what this limit really means for knowledge itself. Because if nothing can travel faster than light, then nothing can be known faster than light either. Every piece of information you receive, every image, every signal, every observation, is bound by the time it takes for light to arrive, which means there is always a delay between reality and your awareness of it. And that delay cannot be removed, can only be waded through. Now imagine this on a larger scale. Imagine two distant civilizations, separated by hundreds of light years, both intelligent, both curious, both looking out into the universe, wondering if they are alone. Each one sends signals, broadcasts messages into the darkness, and those signals travel slowly, patiently, at the speed of light. But even if those signals are perfectly aimed, perfectly detected, the conversation between them becomes something entirely different from what we understand as communication. A message is sent, and centuries pass before it arrives. A reply is written, and centuries pass again before it returns. Entire generations live and fade between each exchange. The ones who sent the message are long gone before the answer arrives. And the ones who received the answer were never part of the original question. This is what light years do to knowledge. They stretch it across time, turning communication into something almost historical, rather than immediate. And this leads to a quiet realization that sits at the heart of cosmic exploration. Even if the universe is filled with life, even if there are countless civilizations scattered across the stars, they may never truly know each other in the way we imagine. Not because they cannot detect one another, but because the delays are too vast to allow real connection. Every interaction becomes a message to the future rather than a conversation in the present. And now, bring that idea back to us. Even here on Earth, the same principle exists, just at a scale too small to notice. Every time you see something, hear something, experience something, it has already happened. Your awareness is always slightly behind reality, but your mind smooths over that delay, creating the feeling of immediacy. Now extend that idea outward, across light years, across galaxies, and the delay becomes impossible to ignore. The universe is not something you experience in real time. It is something you receive continuously, always just a little too late. And this introduces something almost philosophical, because it means that knowledge itself is always incomplete. Not because we lack intelligence, not because we lack tools, but because reality itself is always slightly ahead of what can be known. There is always something happening right now that you cannot yet see, always something unfolding beyond the reach of your awareness. And that will always be true, no matter how far technology advances, no matter how powerful our instruments become. There will always be a horizon, defined by light years, beyond which knowledge has not yet arrived. And perhaps this is not a limitation in a negative sense. Perhaps it is simply the structure of reality. A universe where everything is revealed gradually, where information flows rather than appears instantly, where understanding is something that unfolds over time. And within that structure, there is something quietly beautiful, because it means the universe is not static. It is not fully visible all at once. It is something that reveals itself slowly, through light, through time, through the steady arrival of signals that began their journey long ago. Every observation becomes a kind of discovery, not just of space, but of history. And now, as we move closer to the final segment, there is one last idea to hold on to. Because if light defines the limit of knowledge, and if everything you experience is shaped by what has reached you, then your understanding of the universe is not just about what exists, but about what has arrived. And beyond that, beyond what has arrived, lies everything still on its way. Everything still hidden in transit, moving silently through the darkness. Not yet part of your reality, but destined, eventually, to become it. And that means the universe is not just something you observe. It is something that is still arriving, even now, even as you listen, still unfolding, still revealing itself, one light year at a time. Now, let's go even deeper into something that feels almost invisible, but shapes everything we've been talking about. Because when we say that light defines the limit of speed and the limit of knowledge, there is another layer hidden beneath that idea. A layer that changes not just how the universe works, but how time itself behaves. We touched on this briefly before, but now we can feel it more clearly. When something moves very fast, close to the speed of light, time begins to shift. not metaphorically, not as an illusion, but physically. It slows down, and this is where the universe becomes even more quietly strange. Imagine a traveler moving through space at a speed very close to light. From their perspective, everything feels normal. Their thoughts, their heartbeat, the passage of time, all feel the same as they always have. But from the outside, from the perspective of someone who is not moving with them, something very different is happening. Time for that traveler is passing more slowly. Minutes for them might correspond to hours or days, or even years for someone else. And the faster they move, the more extreme this difference becomes. This is not something we experience in everyday life, because our speeds are far too small for the effect to be noticeable. But in the vast scale of the universe, where light defines the ultimate limit, this effect becomes unavoidable. And now, connect this back to light years. If distance is tied to the speed of light, and time is affected by motion near that speed, then space and time are not separate things. They are deeply connected, interwoven, part of the same structure. This is why earlier, when we imagined traveling to distant stars, something strange happened. Even if the traveler experiences a shorter journey, the universe outside continues forward. Years pass, events unfold. The timeline they left behind continues without them. So when they arrive, they are no longer aligned with the same moment they departed from. They have crossed not just distance, but time itself. And this reveals something profound about light years. They are not just units of measurement. They are part of a system that links space, time, motion, and causality together. A system where nothing can move freely without affecting something else. A system where limits are not obstacles, but rules that shape everything consistently. Now, pause and consider what this means in a more human sense. Every journey you could ever imagine, every attempt to reach something distant, is not just about getting there. It is about when you get there, because the universe does not wait, continues unfolding regardless of where you are or how fast you move. And that creates a kind of quiet truth. You cannot visit the universe without also leaving your original moment behind. Travel becomes separation. Exploration becomes transformation, not just of place, but of time. And this connects back to everything we've been building toward. Light years don't just separate stars. They separate experiences. They ensure that every part of the universe exists in its own unfolding timeline, connected only through delayed signals. And yet, despite all of this complexity, there is something deeply consistent about it. The rules do not change. The speed of light remains constant. The delays remain predictable. The structure holds. And because of that, the universe becomes something stable, even in its vastness, even in its fragmentation, even in its quiet separation across time. And now, as we approach the final part of this journey, there is one last perspective to explore, because everything we've talked about, distance, delay, separation, limits, all of it leads to a single quiet reflection, not about the universe alone, but about you within it. Because once you understand light years, you begin to see your place differently, not as something isolated, but as something connected through light, through time, through the continuous flow of information arriving from everywhere around you. And that realization is where we are heading next. Now, let's slow down even more and bring this inward, because everything we've explored so far, the distance, the delay, the limits of light, they don't just describe the universe out there. They quietly describe your position within it, not in terms of location, but in terms of experience. You are not standing at the center of space, but you are standing at the center of what you can receive. Every direction around you is filled with incoming light, signals traveling across years, centuries, sometimes billions of years, just to arrive here. And at this exact moment, all of that light is reaching you, forming your version of reality. Not the full universe, not the complete present, but your window into it. A carefully shaped horizon, defined by distance and time. And within that horizon, something remarkable is happening. You are connected to places you can never visit. You are seeing events you can never influence. You are receiving stories that began long before you existed, and yet they arrive now, becoming part of your awareness. And in that sense, you are not separate from the universe. You are part of its flow, a point where information arrives, is processed, and continues on, because every photon of light that enters your eyes does not stop with you. It becomes part of a chain, absorbed, transformed, sometimes reflected, continuing its journey in a different form. The universe is not static. It is constantly moving, constantly exchanging, constantly unfolding through these interactions. And you, quietly, are part of that process. Now, consider something even more subtle. Just as you are receiving light from distant stars, you are also sending light outward. Not intentionally, not in a focused beam, but continuously. Every reflection from your surroundings, every artificial light, every signal transmitted into space begins its own journey, carrying information about this moment outward into the future of the universe. Somewhere far beyond your reach, that light will continue traveling. And if it ever encounters something capable of receiving it, your present will become their past. Just as distant stars are your past, you are part of someone else's past, waiting to arrive. And this creates a quiet symmetry that is easy to miss. The universe is not just something you observe. It is something you contribute to. A continuous exchange of light, of information, of moments, flowing in all directions. And within that exchange, no single perspective contains everything. No observer sees the full picture. Each one receives a different version shaped by where they are, and when the light reaches them. And that means your view of the universe is unique, not just in a poetic sense, but in a literal one. No one else, anywhere else, sees exactly what you see, because no one else occupies your exact position, receiving the same combination of signals at the same moment in time. And that makes your experience not central, but singular, a specific intersection of light and time that exists only here. Now, as this idea settles, something else becomes clear. The universe is not something fully revealed. It is something continuously arriving, always incomplete, always unfolding, always just slightly beyond what can be known. And that is not a flaw. It is the nature of reality itself. A system where everything takes time, where everything is connected through delay, where understanding is not instant, but gradual. And within that gradual unfolding, there is something deeply calming, because it means the universe is not rushing. It is not overwhelming you with everything at once. It is revealing itself slowly, one signal at a time, one light year at a time. And all you have to do is be here to receive it. Now, as we move into the final segment, there is one last step. Not a new concept, but a quiet reflection. Because once you understand light years, once you feel what they truly mean, the universe begins to change. Not physically, but in how it feels. The night sky is no longer just distant. It becomes something softer, something deeper, something filled with quiet stories traveling across time, just to reach you. And in that stillness, something unexpected appears. Not confusion, not distance, but a sense of connection, stretched across the vastness of space, carried gently by light. Now, we arrive at the quiet end of this journey. Not an ending in the usual sense, but a gentle slowing, a place where everything we've explored can settle into something calm, something almost still. We began with a simple idea, a light year, something that sounded like just another measurement, a larger number, a way to describe distance in space. But step by step, it revealed something much deeper, that distance is not just space, but time, that everything you see is not happening now, but has already happened, that the universe is not a single moment, but a layered collection of moments, arriving together, softly, continuously. And now, at the end, that idea becomes something quieter, something less about understanding and more about feeling. Because when you look up at the night sky now, it is no longer just a collection of distant lights. It becomes something slower, something more patient. Each star, no longer just a point, but a journey, a signal that has traveled across unimaginable distances for years, centuries, sometimes far longer, just to reach you. And in that sense, the sky is not just above you. It is arriving to you, gently, constantly, without pause. And maybe that changes something in how it feels. The distance is still there. The vastness is still real. But it no longer feels empty, because every direction is filled with motion, with light traveling, with information flowing, with stories that began long ago, still moving, still reaching, still becoming visible. And you, quietly, are part of that process, not separate from it, not observing from the outside, but standing within it. A point where the universe gathers, where signals arrive, where past moments become present experience. And in return, you are also sending something back. Light leaving your world, reflections, signals, fragments of this moment, beginning their own journey outward. So somewhere far away, long from now, this moment, this quiet experience may arrive somewhere else, just as distant stars arrive here. A continuous exchange, a universe not of isolation, but of connection, stretched across time. And yet, within all of this, there is still that gentle limit, the one we cannot cross, the one defined by light, the one that ensures everything remains slightly out of reach, slightly delayed, never fully synchronized. And instead of feeling restrictive, it begins to feel peaceful, because it means the universe is not overwhelming. It does not reveal everything at once. It unfolds slowly. It gives you only what has arrived, only what has had time to reach you. And that creates a kind of quiet rhythm, a flow where understanding comes gradually, where the unknown is not something to fear, but something still on its way. And maybe that's the most calming part of all, that no matter how much you see, there is always more coming, more light traveling, more stories unfolding, more of the universe still arriving, not all at once, not too fast, but gently, steadily, at the speed of light. And so, as you rest here, at the edge of what you can see, surrounded by signals from the past, you are also standing at the beginning of everything yet to arrive, a quiet intersection between what has been and what will be revealed. And there is no need to rush beyond that, no need to reach the edges, because the universe will continue coming to you in its own time, one light year at a time, one moment at a time, softly, endlessly, without ever truly stopping. So as the night sky stretches above you, calm and distant and full of quiet motion, you can simply rest in it, knowing that what you see is not just space, but time gently unfolding, and that you, right here, are part of that unfolding, not separate from it, not lost within it, but quietly, beautifully included. If you're still here, at the very end of this journey, gently type 3 in the comments, just to let me know you stayed all the way through. And as always, wherever you are, I hope this quiet universe feels just a little closer tonight.